So Kyle Rittenhouse is going to be speaking at the East Tennessee State University in Johnson City, Tennessee on February the 8th. Now, I've made several videos in the past talking about Kyle Rittenhouse and how I feel about that entire situation, so I don't really want to go back and rehash all of that. I would rather keep the focus on this event, which is being called the Rittenhouse Recap. And yeah, Kyle is going to be talking to the crowd about the importance of the Second Amendment and about the lies of Black Lives Matter. Now, I'm all for freedom of speech, I'm all for the First Amendment, and I'm all for ETSU turning over their platform to whoever they want to. They have the right to invite whoever they want to speak, and they have the right to turn their platform over to anyone they want to turn it over to. So, if ETSU wants to turn over their platform to a murderer, that's on them. I always say this whenever I make my videos. I say that the ideas that I'm expressing and the stance that I'm taking is a hill I'm willing to die on, meaning that I'm willing to accept whatever consequences comes from me saying the things that I say in videos. So, to ETSU, if that's who you want to turn your platform over to and you get backlash, that's just part of it. But what really boggles my mind is there is going to be people that's going to show up to watch this kid, and they're going to listen to him like he's an expert on the Second Amendment. He's a kid. They're going to sit there and listen to him like he's an expert on Black Lives Matter. How does he know the first thing about what it's like to be black and grow up in America? People will sit there and they will listen to him like he's an expert. And what boggles my mind even more is that the Republican Party will make heroes out of people like Kyle Rittenhouse rather than listen to the protesters and see what it was they was protesting about. Regardless of how you feel about Kyle Rittenhouse, whether you feel like he had a right to do it or he didn't have a right to do it, regardless of how you feel, this was a kid who was groomed to do what he did by right-wing media. He's been groomed ever since, and now he's sitting there on stage and he's going to be grooming the people in the audience. And they would rather listen to him than to get to the root of the problem as to why the protest happened to start with. Just stop and think about that for a minute. Rather than talk to the protesters and say, hey, why was this protest happening? Rather than focusing on the problem that caused the protest and fixing that problem, they would rather listen to a kid whose mom dropped him off with an assault rifle and turned him loose in the middle of a protest. That's who they would rather hear talk. And they go out of their way to demonize kids like David Hogg, who survived the Parkland shooting. They tried to accuse that kid of being a crisis actor. They have harassed and bullied that kid and mocked him every step of the way because, again, they don't want to get to the root of the problem and fix it. He's talking about ways that we can fix the problem, and they're going out here and listening to a kid who they groomed to do what he did, and they're grooming now to talk to that audience. Kyle Rittenhouse is nothing but a pawn in their game. And there's times that I get really mad at him. When I see him talking, I just it's so cringeworthy to me. And then I say to myself, I've got young sons myself. And I can't imagine allowing my child to get so caught up in such bullshit that I would take him and drop him off with an assault rifle at a protest. And then sit back and watch a party groom my son to be a mouthpiece for them. That's what they did here. That's exactly what's happened. It's easy to get mad at Kyle Rittenhouse. I'm not giving him a pass for nothing, and I never will. But that kid was groomed to do what he's doing, and now he's the groomer. And he's who the Republican Party will show up to support, and he's who they will show up to listen to like he's some sort of expert rather than listen to the people who was actually facing the problem. Kyle didn't go there that day to talk to anybody about what was going on. He didn't go there to get to the root of the problem. He never stopped to study the root of the problem because he was never taught to.